Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am making one of the Punjabi favorites which we all enjoy on a weekend, a lot on the weekend. And if you'll ask any Punjabi what their comfort food is, this will be 100% on the list. And it is Rajma, which is red kidney bean curry. And I am doing a masterclass because I did a Rajma recipe few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I can't remember. And obviously I wanted to share some tips and tricks with you to get it perfect every single time and get it to that level of deliciousness at home for your family. Okay, I won't tell you who I'm cooking for. You have to watch till the end and see who I'm cooking for and what they think of this Rajma. One of the things to make Rajma perfect, I'm not going to call it red kidney bean curry every single time. I'm just going to call it what we call it, which is Rajma. So to get Rajma perfect every single time, the first thing to remember is to always use dried kidney beans. You cannot make real Rajma with tinned chickpeas. Tinned beans, you just can't. You just won't get that squidginess. I'll show you when I've cooked the Rajma how squidgy and meaty it is, whereas the tinned one is still quite rock solid and it doesn't absorb the flavors the way the dried overnight soaked Rajma does. So this is what you need to use. Sometimes you can buy slightly lighter color beans. Sometimes you can buy pink beans with red kind of stripes. All of that is fine to use for this recipe. So I'm going to soak this overnight because that is really important. I'm going to soak 400 grams of red kidney beans. Just going to give it a quick wash and then let it soak in lots of water. I'll tell you the exact amount tomorrow morning, but I'm leaving it to soak overnight. You can soak it in a pressure cooker if you're using one. If you're not, just use a normal pan, that's absolutely fine. Right, so the red kidney beans have been soaking overnight. You can see they have fluffed up, look at that. They've rehydrated. And now I'm going to put them on the hob to start cooking. So first I'm going to drain this out so I can tell you exactly how much liquid I'm going to use to cook this. So that's the 400 grams beans from last night. Looking gorgeous, fluffy. Like I said, you can cook this in a normal pan if you don't have a cooker or you don't want to use a cooker. So it's a total of 1 liter of water has gone in. And now I'm going to add a couple of bits. So a teaspoon and a half of water. I'm going to put this on the pressure cooker. It's for 15-20 minutes. But if you are cooking this in a pan, then this needs to be cooked for an hour. And in case the water gets absorbed, then just add a bit more water. Once the kidney beans are cooked, if it's a cooker, I'm going to turn it off and leave it to sit for 15-20 minutes for the pressure to go down. If you're using a pan, you can just cover and let it rest for 15 minutes. And while the kidney beans are cooking, I'm going to just grate this to kind of a rough paste, 3 onions. So I'm going to start cooking the masala. So nice hot pan, and then going to add, it's a lot of quantity, good for 4 to 5 people. So I'm adding 3 to 4 tablespoons of sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, or any oil of your choice. Then goes in a teaspoon of cumin seeds and let them sizzle first. Right, so this is sizzling away nicely. I'm going to add a couple of chilies. Whenever you're using chilies, always slit them so they don't pop and cause any issues. And now I'm going to add the puree of the onions. And this is going to take a good 15 minutes to cook. You can just grate the onions as well if you want. I have to say the onions are so strong today, really strong, and I didn't even chop them, but just taking them out from the mixer, they're really strong. Now be patient with this, don't cook it on very high heat, cook it on medium heat and just let it become really nice deep brown. Another tip to remember is not to rush with the onions. Now this masala is slow cooked, so sometimes when I'm cooking curries or Indian food, and if I want to cook onions quickly, I cook them on really high speed and I keep stirring them so they don't burn. But in this recipe you cannot rush that. Just remember it, you have to cook it slowly, and the onions are always blitzed up for this recipe. So either grate it or chop it extremely finely, and I'm not good at chopping extremely finely, so I usually just blitz it up or grate the onions for this. So remember to slow cook this and don't rush it. And once you've added the tomatoes, the same thing applies. You have to slow cook it. Let the ginger garlic cook out, and don't be afraid of using all that ginger garlic because you need that depth of flavor. Right, so this is how it starts to look. You can at this stage add more oil, but I tend not to. I might add just 1 tablespoon more, which is why if you are using a really nice non-stick pan or a really nice pan that doesn't burn the onions too quickly, is a good idea. This will take another 5 minutes. And while the onions are cooking, I'm just going to again blitz 4 garlic cloves and a big piece of ginger in the same mixer. Once it's this beautifully golden, I'm just going to add the blitzed up ginger and garlic and give it another minute of cooking. Next I will just blitz up 2 tomatoes. Now we add in the blitzed up tomatoes. Now this is going to take some time to cook, so what I'm going to do is cover and cook this for 10 minutes. So this has been cooking for 15 minutes. I'm going to add just a 100 ml of water just to stop it from sticking now that it has cooked out. Now I'm going to add the spices. Look how deep the color of this mixture is. You don't want it light, and this is before adding any of the spices. The color is so deep. That means that the onions were browned properly and the tomatoes have cooked down as well. This is the cooker full of rajma, which has been sitting actually for an hour now. Let's check if they are cooked. So let's pick one out. Oh, soft, soft, soft. Beautiful. Look at that. That is how they should be. So 2 teaspoons of ground coriander, chili to taste. I'm using 3/4 teaspoon, a teaspoon of turmeric, and a teaspoon and a half of garam masala. I'm just going to add a teaspoon of ground cumin. Give it a mix. Now adding 200 ml of water. That is the proper Rajma Masala. Then we add the cooked Rajma. I'm just going to add another 100 ml of water. I just want a bit more liquid. And though it might seem like a lot of liquid right now, it's all going to cook out, just trust me. So I'm going to cook this covered on low heat for a good half an hour. Right guys, it's been exactly 30 minutes. It's been bubbling away. I've been cooking it on medium heat. I will show you how it's looking now. The smell is intense. So obviously the rajma was already cooked, the masala was already cooked, but I'm cooking it for so long so that the beans soak all the flavors from this curry. And though I added lots of liquid, look, it's already reduced. And now this is done, what I'm going to do is going to turn the heat off, cover it back up, and I'm going to come back and show it to you in 1 hour. One very important thing to remember when making rajma is, now I can eat this straight away. This is ready, this is cooked. The best combination is rajma chawal, which is rice. Chawal is rice. It's like a proper Punjabi comfort food. So you can eat this right now, but a tip is that if you can, please leave it alone for an hour. If you have 2 hours, even better, If you can leave this alone for an hour or 2 hours, I'm going to show you how it will look. It looks amazing, it smells amazing, it's ready. But right now it's really delicious. After an hour it will become so much more delicious. So that is one thing to remember. So it has been a couple of hours. I have let the rajma to sit in its curry, and I'm just chopping up some fresh coriander, just roughly chop, and then I'm going to show you how the rajma is looking after a couple of hours. Right. Yes, yes, it looks awesome. Now look at it, look at that. It's thickened up nicely. It's kind of, instead of like runny curry, it's really nicely thickened up, and I'm gonna get some, not some, lots of coriander on top, and then there it is. And for the tasting, I have got not one but 2 of these, because have you guessed who I'm cooking for? Tan tan! So my parents have just arrived this morning from India, and I thought that what will be an amazing meal to cook for them today, and that's why I've chosen rajma rice. I'm going to cook some rice to go with it. So the last time you saw us cook rajma was, a few years ago, and that time my mum cooked it for us, and this time I've cooked it for her. So it's about time that she gets to taste and tell me what she thinks. Aajo. Right. Khao aur mujhe batao.
Very tasty, very. गजब के स्वाद है.
She says it's stunningly delicious. Good?
बहुत स्वाद है.
Okay, so that's a yes from her. I hope you will enjoy it and cook it for your family as well, and hope you'll keep in mind my tips to make them perfect. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you want my mum to cook some stuff for the channel, then leave us the recipes you want her to cook. Till then, bye.
Bye.